Okay, so when you think about tax season, what date comes to mind? April 15th, right? Well, that's what most of us think. But for a very smart, very fast kind of criminal, the race is already over, and your refund is gone before you've even gotten your W-2 in the mail. We're going to deconstruct a crime that happens right under our noses, in the shadows of the financial system. Let's call it the January heist. This quote, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This isn't some brute force hack we're talking about. No, this is way more subtle. It's a masterclass in what we call timing exploitation. Basically, criminals have figured out how to use the government's own systems, its own inefficiencies against you. They've turned tax season into this high-stakes sprint, and they get a 30-day head start.
And here's the paradox right at the center of this whole heist. For you, a law-abiding citizen, tax day is April 15th. We all know that date. But for an identity thief, their tax day, their Super Bowl, is January 20th. That's the day the IRS usually opens up e-filing. And that gap in time, that's not just some small detail. That is the entire battlefield. Their whole game is to sprint across the finish line before you even realize the race has started.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the psychological choke point, what it feels like to be a victim. Then we'll dissect the anatomy of the heist and a huge vulnerability called the validation gap. And then, the most important part, we'll get into your defense plan with the January lockdown protocol and how you can actually win this race.
All right, let's start with what this actually feels like for a victim. So picture this. It's late March, maybe early April. You've finally gotten all your documents together, you've crunched the numbers, and you hit e-file on your computer. You're waiting for that little congratulations message, maybe already thinking about that refund. But instead, you get this cold electronic stop sign, a total dead end. And this is the message you see: rejected. Why? Because a return with your social security number has already been filed. Now let that sink in for a second. This is what investigators call the psychological choke point. It's that gut punch moment of disbelief when you realize someone else has filed taxes pretending to be you. This isn't just a glitch. It's the exact moment your identity gets frozen, and it's the start of a bureaucratic nightmare that can tie up your life for months, sometimes even years. You know, the impact of that moment is profound. It literally triggers a freeze response in your body. Your analytical brain, the part you desperately need to figure this out, it just kind of shuts down. You're left feeling completely paralyzed, totally overwhelmed, and now you're facing this massive IRS investigation just to prove that you are in fact you. And all the while, the thief is long gone with your cash. Okay, so now let's flip the script and look at this from the criminal's point of view. How in the world do they pull this off so perfectly? Well, it's not luck. It's a calculated step-by-step process, a playbook designed to exploit the very system we're all supposed to trust. Think of it as the anticipatory extraction machine. It's a cold, repeatable process, almost like an assembly line. Step 1, they get your data. Step 2, they file a fake return before you even have a chance. Step 3, they pump up the numbers on that return to get the biggest payout. And step 4, they funnel the cash out. Let's break down exactly how each step works. So the first ingredient they need is something called tax Fullz. And no, this isn't just your social security number. Think of it as a complete identity kit. It's got your name, address, SSN, even your income from last year, all harvested from all those data breaches we're constantly hearing about. And that one little piece of info, your income from the previous year, that's the golden ticket. It's the key that lets them waltz right past the security questions on tax website. And then, this is the crucial moment. Sometime in late January, armed with your complete identity profile, the criminal just sits down, breezes right through security, and clicks submit. And in that single click, their fake return becomes the official return in the eyes of the IRS. In that one instant, they've basically hijacked your financial identity for the year. So once they've filed, it's all about getting the money out. First, they inflate the refund by adding fake dependents or claiming fake business losses to make the payout as big as possible. Then, that money gets funneled into burner bank accounts or prepaid debit cards. Next up is what we call the crypto pivot. This is pretty slick. They'll have the refund sent to a service like Credit Karma, and then immediately flip it to a crypto exchange like Coinbase. Poof, the money is now untraceable cryptocurrency. And for the final touch, they change your address with the IRS, so any mail from them goes somewhere else. You're left completely in the dark. Okay, we've seen how they pull it off, but the really big question is, why does this even work? I mean, how can a totally fake tax return get approved and paid out so fast? Well, the answer is a massive structural flaw in the system.
This vulnerability has a name: the validation gap. Here's how it works. The IRS opens for business in January and starts accepting returns right away. But here's the catch. They don't get the official W-2 forms from your employer to double-check everything for weeks, sometimes even months. So there's this window of time, this gap, where they basically trust what's been filed before they can actually verify it. And for a criminal, that gap is a wide open door.
This timeline just lays it all out, and it's wild. The criminal files on January 20th. By February 10th, the IRS's automated system has already sent your refund to the thief. 5 days after that, your actual W-2 might show up in your mailbox. You wait until April to file, like most people, and boom, rejected. And the IRS, they don't even start the big process of matching everything up until June. By then, it's way, way too late. The money is gone.
And here's the real kicker. The whole system is built for speed, not for security. The government wants to get refunds out within 21 days to help stimulate the economy. It's a good intention, right? But for criminals, this creates an absolute gold rush. They take advantage of the process now, verify later mindset. The system is built to trust the first person who files, and you can bet criminals make sure they're always first.
So we've picked apart the crime. We've seen the weak spot. It's a pretty scary picture, I know, but now let's talk solutions. This isn't about being afraid, it's about being prepared. Let's get into your strategic defense, the January lockdown protocol.
So, the question is, how do you fight back? How do you slam the door shut on these guys before they even get a foot in? How do you make sure you win this race? The key is being proactive, not reactive.
Okay, here it is, the single most powerful tool you have. It's called an IP PIN, or Identity Protection PIN. The easiest way to think about it is like two-factor authentication for your taxes. It's a special 6-digit code the IRS gives you every year. And without that code, a tax return with your social security number is completely useless. It gets rejected instantly. It's a total game changer.
So, here are the 3 things you absolutely have to do. First, and this is non-negotiable, go to irs.gov and get an IPIN. Anyone can get one now. Don't wait until you're a victim to do it. Second, monitor your account. Set up an account on the IRS website using their ID.me portal and check it, especially in late January. Look for anything weird. And third, the easiest one of all, file early. The second you have your paperwork, just get it done. Be first. If you file first, the scam is dead in the water.
But what if you think it might be too late? Well, the biggest red flag is getting a letter from the IRS asking you to verify your identity for a return you know you didn't file. If that letter shows up, your first move is to immediately file Form 1439. That's the identity theft affidavit. But please understand, this is just the start of a very long, very painful process. The official timeline for recovery is 180 days, but honestly, it can take much, much longer. And that is exactly why preventing this is so crucial.
All right, let's wrap this up. We've gone through how the crime works, what it feels like, the system's weakness, and your defense plan. It really all comes down to one core idea.
So here's the bottom line. Tax identity fraud is all about timing. It's a system built to file before you do and take advantage of automation to get paid before anyone can check the facts. The whole thing works because of that validation gap and the government's need for speed. So the only way to win is to beat them at their own game. You need an IPIN for security, and you need to file as early as humanly possible for speed.
So I want to leave you with a simple mantra, something to repeat to yourself every January. It's a commitment to your own financial safety. Just say it. I file early, I PIN my SSN. My tax refund belongs to me, not to the first person who happens to click submit.